Some big news out of Arizona. The Senate there voted to repeal the 1864 law that was a near total abortion ban. Two Republican senators crossed party lines and joined with all the Democrats in the Senate to make that happen. And that's not the only example of people crossing party lines. Yesterday, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene said she would call for a vote next week on House Speaker Mike Johnson's job. But the House Minority Leader, Democrat Hakeem Jeffries, said he and other Democrats would help save the speaker from removal. Wow. So what do we think of all these examples, Tori, of people crossing party lines? Do you think the pendulum's going to swing more to a moderate middle?
Well, right now we're seeing at the very edge people doing bipartisanship on nonsense bills, right? The very edge. So 1864 bill on abortion, it wasn't even a state yet. Like Arizona hadn't even been formed when that was created. So I like to see this little movement. I like to see this little stretch. But what I really think is interesting is that America, based on the two-party system, has always had this tension, right? But big, major moments of bipartisanship have shifted this country. And if you remember in 1994, we had the assault rifle bill, 38 Republicans had to cross that aisle to do something that was pretty erratic then and pretty scary. And some of them had to have police escorts after that. So I do think it's coming back. I think we're starting on the edges of extremism. No one in their constituency that has a woman in it that can get pregnant would want a total ban on abortion from rape and incest unless they don't want to get elected again in this purplish state. So I think it's a great idea to make movement. I also think people are tired of being stuck in a jam. And I think I'm not trying to hit on Trump, but Trump's administration was very much, we never make an agreement. And that's an aberration. And other presidents have really reached across and found a compromise. And I think that Trump blip might hopefully be over, in my opinion, and we see more bipartisanship.
Well, I don't even know if it's so much to do with Trump. Obviously, everything in that party revolves around him. But I look at somebody like Marjorie Taylor Greene, and as Sam was making that read, I was like, you know, Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's deciding if they're going to call for another vote for the Speaker of the House. They're third in command. Like, should something happen to the president and vice president? And it's like, do we want Marjorie Taylor Greene having a say?
I know.
This rando? The reason she has so much power in that party, she's a tremendous fundraiser. That's why where you get these kind of wacky kind of fringe people is they're great fundraisers. But after a while, I think the GOP, as they've gone through the Mike McCarthy's, are realizing that you can't have this can't be a circus. You can't be flipping your leadership over and over because your voters don't like that. So maybe they are learning that this is not the way to go. Maybe they need some stability, and maybe they are starting to realize their voters will not penalize them for acting rationally every once in a while. We're not saying cave on every issue.
But like an 1864 bill,
like,
they're not going to stand for that because it's nonsense again.
Jeff, I know we only have 30 seconds, but I know that you live and breathe moderate, middle, reaching across the aisle, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the pendulum is swinging or no?
Yeah, because we use things to attack the other side, on both sides, whatever side you're on, to attack and say like, oh, they walking back that comment or they're flip-flopping on that. That means they're learning and they're progressing and they're saying, you know what, I'm not going to go red till I die or blue till I die on every single issue. It's crazy that a woman doesn't have a right to choose. I'm going to move over. My wife just had a child and we needed to make that. My daughter just had a child and we needed to make that decision. That's up to the woman. That's just my opinion. I'm just using that as an example.
But it's common sense.
But it's just like, we got to stop. But that's politics, though. Right. They're like, if you don't vote on this issue and help me out, I'm not going to help you out on your issue. So they have to vote red or blue on every single issue instead of using common sense.
Right.
And that's what we're lacking. I think a lot more, it's going to show in this election, I think a lot less people are going to vote because they don't like the two options. And I think a lot of people, I think Robert Kennedy Jr. is going to get, again, I don't know what I'm talking about, but I think Kennedy Jr. is going to get a lot of votes because he is kind of that independent vote. And people don't want to vote for these red and blue parties anymore. I think it is coming around. But then again, I could just be crazy as everyone else. Yeah, which I am, yeah.